Hi good people, Titus here for another Unreal Engine tutorial, and in this video I'll show you how to quickly and easily set up teleportation pads in your projects. Let's not waste any time and jump right into it. Alright, so starting with this project, I'm going to be doing the third person template. We'll make sure starter content is checked, give it a name and choose a location, and then we'll hit create. So in this one, we're basically going to be setting up multiple pads or points around the map, and then I'll show you guys how to set up a pretty cool construction script, so you can easily set the, jump points, and quickly move them around the viewport without actually having to mess around with like direct transforms and stuff. So, alright, we got our default map set up. Let's go ahead and we got to set up some folders. So the first folder I'm going to do is going to be audio. And I'll do blueprints. And then I'm going to do a Blender import. So if you followed along with me on the Teleportation Blender tutorial, you can import the same model. If you didn't, you can also just create a cylinder and just compress it on the Z axis. And then I'll show you that too. Alright, and we'll also want materials and textures. I think that's good for right now. So these are going to be the folders that I'm going to be creating here. So let's go into audio first, and I got some audio that I got from the web, freesounds.org. It's a great place. So we got some teleportation sounds. Just drag those in there. And then let's go into Blender, and we're going to choose our teleportation FBX and our texture maps that we made in the Marmoset. So we'll bring those over here, and then I typically just leave the defaults and just hit import all, and then we can ignore the smoothing error. It just means I exported it with face normal selected, I think, instead, but it shouldn't affect anything. And we got the no target, and that's going to be in our textures here. Oops. So I'll drag that. And all this is a 64 by 64 little image that I made that just said no target. If you don't want to make something simple like that, you can also use the engine content by coming over to settings and make sure show engine content is checked. And then I think if you just search bad, you can use maybe this red X. And this will make sense when I get to that point on why we're doing something like this. But for now, we'll be good with that. Okay, so we got everything imported that we need. So let's go to our blueprints folder. We're going to create a simple blueprint class of type actor. I'm going to call it BP underscore teleporter. And then we can double click to open it up. Dock it in the window. And then I'm going to go into my Blender folder. I'm going to highlight my mesh, or the 3 components to my mesh. I'm going to go to the add button here, and then I can just do add mesh multiple assets, and then you can see our teleporter that we made in Blender comes up. If you don't have a teleporter, you can easily just add a basic shape. Doesn't matter which one you choose, like choose sphere. And then once you have it, change the sphere to a cylinder. And we just search cylinder here. And then if you just compress this on the Z axis, you can get something simple like that. So, nothing too fancy, but if you guys don't have the mesh to follow along, you do that. You can also use something from the marketplace too. So I guess whatever is easier for you. But all right, so I got my my teleporting pad that I made in Blender. It's got no materials, so we can do that real quick. We can simply right click, create a new material, call it M underscore teleporter. double click to open that up. And then I can basically grab our texture maps that we exported from Marmoset, bring them into our graph editor. And then it is pretty straightforward. I will try to maybe set up some B-roll footage showing you the mix map setup. But basically in Marmoset, when we were exporting, because we had like 5 textures, but we exported 3 of them into one texture, and then we could just read off each individual channel, just to save some space and make it easier on ourselves. So the albedo is going to be this one. We can come off the RGB, show the base color here. I'm going to flip this to a square so it's a little bit easier. And then the normal map is going to come off the RGB, and that's going to go into the normal here. There's your bump information. And then the red channel is going to be going into the ambient occlusion. So that'd be this one right here. And then the green channel is roughness. So drag that into here. And then the blue channel we had for our metallic. So we'll drag that into here. And that pretty much completes our texture map. So we can just hit save, and then we can close out of that because we're good. Then you can come into, actually I'm gonna highlight it now, so make sure it's the active selection. And then I can just simply shift select, so it highlights all my items. And then I can just hit the use selected asset under element 0 for materials. And then it should pop in your materials that you made. And then you can see the object here, and it's got the right shading and everything that we did from Marmoset. So we have a basic pad. And then if you want to move your lights around, just hold the L key on your keyboard and then left click and drag around, and you can make sure everything looks okay. But all right, moving on to the next part. So we're going to be doing some setup on the blueprint. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to add what's called a billboard. This thing right here, and we'll drag it up. This is actually a little error checking thing we can do. And I'll show you how we set it up. So we'll change the billboard sprite to be our no target. If you don't have the no target, you can go to the engine content and use bad. You can just highlight bad, click over here, and it'll create this little X thing. And then maybe we'll scale it by 2 just so it's easy to see. You just want something visually that represents like an error message to let you know that something has gone wrong. But I created just a simple no target, so I'm going to use that. Pretty straightforward. And then let me show you how we actually set this. So we can come to the construction script here, and then we can drag off the billboard, and then simply do set visibility, and then plug in our construction right into here. And then the way we're going to be doing our teleportation is we're going to be getting a reference to a target actor inside the actual level. So to be able to store that reference, we're going to need to create a variable. So we'll create a quick target actor variable. We're going to change it from a Boolean to an actor. So we can go to object types, and then actor, and then object reference. And then we're also going to click this little eyeball to make it publicly exposed so we can see it in the editor. And then compile and save. Now we can drag this target actor to get a reference. We can pull off this guy and do is valid. And you can choose a little function to check to see if it's valid. And if you plug the Boolean into the new visibility, it's not going to be quite right because it's going to be opposite. So if you notice, when we compile, we don't actually have a target set, but the billboard's not showing. So we need that opposite behavior. So if we go back into our construction script, we can drag off this and do a not Boolean to basically get the reverse. Drag this in there like that, compile and save. And now we actually see the no target. So you may be wondering why this matters or why this is relevant. It's pretty simple. If we come into our level, we go to our blueprints folder and we drag a couple of these out. You can see when they spawn, they don't have a target path to actually teleport a character to. But if we were to say like, say we set up a point, we can go add a target point, and you can drag this in pretty much anywhere you want, like say right here. I can then choose my blueprint pad that I put in, and there's a target actor right here, and I can search target point or whatever empty or object you want to use. It doesn't really matter. And then you'll notice that when I'm building out my level, it's easier for me to tell that this pad has a destination point set and this pad does not. So it can be kind of helpful when you're prototyping, especially if you're doing like some type of project or game that has, you know, maybe dozens, maybe hundreds of teleportation points. You don't want to set these all up and go through each one, seeing which one doesn't have a, you know, a destination point for why it's not working. You can easily just set up these little checks in your blueprint so you can visually see when it's not working. But let's continue to actually set up the code. The code's pretty simple. Unreal Engine actually has a built-in teleport function. So we can just go to BP Teleporter, and then under the event graph, I will delete these two things here. Actually, I'll delete this one and this one. And we need a way to do the begin overlap, so we need a trigger. So we can simply add a capsule collision. And then we can drag off this. And actually what we should do is, if we drag out our target actor, we can do a get. And then if you right click on it, you can convert it to a validated get. And then basically that means this will only run the code if you have a valid target actor. So it's basically another like error checking thing. So if you don't have a destination set, it means your code won't run, just in case you happen to miss it for some reason. But yeah, so from here, we can easily do a play sound. Oops. If I can spell correctly. Play sound 2D. And then I can go to our audio folder. Yeah, we'll choose this one for now. Put that in there. And then we can do a teleport. And now all we need to do is we need to get the actor transform. So if we come off our target actor, which if you remember in this instance would be this thing right here. So we can drag off this, do get actor transform. We can right click and split the struct pin. And then we have access to the location, which we can feed into the destination. Now, typically, this by itself will work fine. If we compile and save, and we do a quick play, I should be able to teleport over, but you see we didn't set the actual actor. So right here, what you'll want to do is drag in the reference to the other actor that's overlapped. And now, next time you do it, it should teleport you instead of the actual teleportation pad. But you'll notice there's another issue too. The rotation isn't carrying over either. So I'm clearly looking this way, but it turns me all the way around. So the way you can get around that, which is this right here, is after the validated get, you can probably just drag this back. we can actually do a cast to BP third person character. And this is going to be whatever template you're using. So if you're using the first person template, make sure you pick the first person blueprint there. And then we can drag this into here. And then I am actually going to break this line here. I'll delete these nodes. And we'll do some reroutes here to clean it up. And bring that down there. Okay. So what we'll do here is we'll drag this out. You can right click on the as BP third person character and then just promote it to a variable. And then we can just call it third person character. So basically you have a reference for the third person character now. And then you can, whoops, I don't want that on the cast failed. I want that on the succeeded. There we go. So now from here, you can actually plug in a couple things. So the first thing we'll want is the target reference. So we can drag this down here like so. And maybe drag that out like that. And then from this pin, we can actually drag and do a get actor transform. And I'm going to move this one forward, so it's kind of like that. Right click and split the struct pin, like so. And now you'll have the rotation of the character, so we can actually drag this in here. Oops. And then if I can drag this down. All right, so it's somewhat organized here. All right. So now this should inherit the character's actual rotation rather than just setting it to 0, and it should look a little bit better. Like so. So no matter which direction I'm actually at, it's going to bring me over, like so. And then you'll notice this one doesn't do anything. And that's because we haven't set a destination point. So this makes it pretty easy when you're prototyping. So if we say we throw a few pads around, oops, you know, that way you just kind of know where everything's at, and we'll add a few teleportation points. So we'll do target, maybe we'll add one here. Target point here. I don't remember how many I added. And we'll do another one over here. So now in each pad, no matter which one you're going to, under your target actor, you can just search target and then pick a different point. And then it makes it easy for you to tell which one has gone where. Now, no matter which one you're doing, you'll be able to move around like that. And then before, the way, like, at least I used to do it is, you know, if I was going into the actual function, I would set I'd have to manually set the destination. Like, I can get like an object reference or move it around, but just using these empties like this just makes it so much easier. So I just thought I'd do a quick video just sharing that. So we'll pretty much cut it here, keep it short. If you are looking to expand on this topic, I highly recommend checking out the Unreal Engine YouTube channel for tips for quickly prototyping. They had a guest speaker, Chris Murphy, on there. They gave an excellent talk on this subject. But as always, thanks for watching, consider subscribing, and see you on the next one.